Welcome to my presentation on effective early literacy learning. I believe that each child's literacy can be developed by effective teachers who connect their passion for teaching to a variety of teaching strategies and activities which will help their students achieve their best outcomes. So what do you think effective early literacy learning might involve? In schools today, teachers deal with such a wide range of students who have a wide range of literacy skills and practices and who are brought up with a diversity of literacy traditions. Here we will explore some of the main important considerations for effective literacy learning in the early years of schooling. We will also look at some of the things that already happen in schools and discuss whether or not they are effective in developing students' literacy. Finally, based on what we discover, we will construct our ideal classroom designed for effective literacy learning. So there are many important considerations when it comes to effective literacy learning. There are the functions of language, oral language skills, a wide variety of strategies on reading and writing, as well as studying digital texts, to name just a few. However, research has shown that although some teachers have a fundamental knowledge of literacy, this alone is not enough for effective literacy teaching. One of the key things about literacy learning is the individual child. Children come to school with different literacy abilities and at different stages in development. One of the most effective methods for literacy learning is connecting it to what the children already know and are interested in, and then teachers can begin the journey of developing each child's literacy learning. As a guide, we can look at this table on the phases of literacy development. These stages can give educators a guide on where each child is at developmentally in the areas of words, reading and writing. Of course, each child is different, but knowledge of these stages can be useful when planning teaching. For example, in the early emergent and emergent stages, concepts such as directionality of awareness, that the words must be read in the order of top to bottom and left to right, are established. Children may also talk quietly to themselves when reading to solve the problem with words. Teachers could then ensure that a quiet space is available to that child to give them time to practice these skills. And even though a rough age group has been attributed to each stage, it's important to remember that although the guide may be true for most students, there will always be those students who do not fit into such generalisations. It's also important to remember that children use their literacy skills in everyday lives outside of school in order to function in the world they live in. A popular developmental theory by John Dewey looks at the classroom as mirroring the communities of children so that learning that takes place is relevant and useful. Another developmental learning theory by a man called Vygotsky concentrated more on how adults play a central role in the development of children. He said that there is an area known as the zone of proximal development where adults can scaffold a child's learning by helping them reach beyond just that which they are capable of doing themselves, or providing a scaffolding for them to reach higher. Teachers play an important role here by assisting the child at just the right time to lay the scaffolding and then taking it away again when the child can cope for themselves. During the course of my professional experience so far, I believe that teachers I was placed with were very effective, not just in engaging the students in literacy learning, but in many aspects of learning. And I think the main reason for this is that the teachers made the time and effort to get to know the children, their families and communities, and in doing so, they could connect learning to their lives. At one school, I noticed the grade 1 and 2 teacher speaking with many parents and carers before and after the class every day. She had created such a welcoming atmosphere that the parents would come inside the classroom pretty much every day before lessons began, just for a chat with the teacher. In addition to this, inside the classroom there was displayed information about each student, which included their name, who was in their family, where they or their families came from, and they did an activity where each student had to design their own family flag. So all of this contributed to the sort of welcoming and friendly atmosphere of belonging that allowed the students to feel safe and respected, and I think in turn that led to the effective lessons. Another effective strategy that I witnessed was the teacher's repertoire of activities that were used for literacy learning. So these included activities that made use of the VCOP and CAFE teaching approaches, many group activities where the children were placed in productive learning groups, and activities which linked learning to real life. For example, one of the students was well known for being a little absent-minded when it came time to remembering where she left her school bag. It would go missing on a regular basis. When it happened during a creative writing lesson, the teacher changed the planned writing topic to "What happened to Amy's bag?" And what followed was an effective lesson where the students were engaged in writing a story. I witnessed learning in another classroom where the teacher used the same kind of teaching approaches with VCOP and CAFE, but it did not seem as effective. I believe that this was because the effective teacher combined her literacy knowledge with students' lives and situated it within the context of her students, and this made the difference between effective and less effective literacy learning. At another school, the teacher paid a great deal of attention to students' well-being, mindfulness, and fostering appropriate behaviours. Around the classroom were several displays reminding the students of things like think before you speak in order to avoid saying something hurtful, be helpful and kind, and the importance of how to react to things, caring for and being considerate of others. There was also a weekly circle meeting held where the students could voice concerns. There were rules that were discussed before the meeting to remind students the importance of not naming people, as the purpose was to find positive solutions to the issues, quite often suggested by other students. The students seemed very comfortable in openly discussing any issues, and I was impressed by the ownership they took of their meeting, and I think this added to their sense of belonging to their school and class. The meeting also required students to develop oral language skills, as they had to choose words carefully when discussing certain issues. I asked the teacher about all of this, and she said that at the moment the students that they have need these kind of well-being approaches. If many of their issues were ignored, then no learning would occur. She said that by using these strategies that students felt welcomed and respected at school, high expectations of them were set and effective learning could occur. Again, this worked not just for literacy learning but across all learning areas. I had many other literacy learning experiences at school, but there are too many to mention here. However, the effective learning that I witnessed taking place had all of these things in common. The teacher knew the students and knew how to teach them based on their individual stages and abilities. The teacher had a wide range of approaches and activities, and she knew how to connect content and concepts to her students. The teacher had a strong literacy knowledge, and she knew how to explicitly teach literacy to her students, and the teacher had highly effective classroom management skills. Now, here are the things that I would be thinking about when setting up a classroom for effective literacy learning. So the first part is the physical environment. You first of all get the children involved in planning their spaces, as this will help them to take ownership of their classroom and learning. Ideally, the layout should be that all students can see the teacher, because the ability to read body language and gestures is very important to enhance and clarify meaning. Have high traffic areas clear to minimise distractions. Have a separate work area away from others so that a group of students can work without distracting others. And in general, there should be an adjustable layout plan to allow space for group work, individual work, a silent area for reading and focused work, and an area available when all students need to be able to see the teacher. The second part is the resources. I would include a variety of information to be displayed on the classroom walls, which would allow students to be able to read important literacy information whenever they need to. It would include things such as punctuation rules, spelling rules. I would also include a display detailing the classroom rules and consequences if broken, and this allows students to see what behaviour and values are expected from them and why, and would help to minimise disruptions. I would also include a display on emotional strategies which could be used to assist students deal with a variety of issues. I witnessed this during professional experience for grade 1 and 2, and it was very effective. If the issues were not dealt with, for example, if a student was sad, frustrated or angry, then little learning would be possible for that student. I would also include a display on each student that shows the rest of the class things like where they are, their families are from, what language or languages they speak at home, what the family likes doing together, and that this would help show everybody the similarities and differences in everyone, all of which would be celebrated. An exercise like this could give clues to the child's literate practices. Again, I witnessed this effective technique during professional experiences and was another of the many effective strategies used by the teacher. In addition to the school's library, I would have a variety of different books ready to use as resources. They could be used for many tasks and strategies, such as oral language practice, reading to others, time out if students needed to, and links to other learning areas as an appropriate strategy for dealing with difficult issues that may arise in the classroom. For example, the book I'm Australian Too by Mem Fox could address issues of diversity and culture. I would incorporate technology into the classroom for literacy learning. iPads, tablets, computers. This would draw on theories connecting the social world of children to literacy learning. In other words, they would use the same technology that they use in their world outside of school. It would be familiar to them, so they may engage with it easily. So the third part is tasks and approaches. I would include a wide variety of tasks in my ideal classroom, such as shared book reading, word study, text comprehension, spelling and matching letters and sounds. But it's worth remembering that research shows that providing students with a variety of literacy learning tasks and having a good knowledge of literacy is not enough. The teacher must also have the ability to create a literate environment, have a wide range of strategies to scaffold learning and maintaining students' concentration on literacy tasks. I would attempt to foster a socially and culturally safe place for students to learn. This would also add value to any learning. And you can fill the class spaces with stories, both verbal and visual, that would help to create an environment where literacy habits can grow, be sustained and endured. Examples could be inspiring poems or quotes displayed and short picture stories. Another approach would be to continually ask questions, such as how well does the classroom reflect the values, what message will the room convey to the children, how does the room reflect a sense of respect for all. And overall, I would try to provide an atmosphere in the classroom to excite the children about learning and excitement about who they are as learners. So it can be seen from this discussion that an ideal early literacy classroom includes many things, but I believe it would be worth the effort because it would help students become effective literacy learners for life. Thank you for watching.